Thank you. The chairman and the supreme commanders will now take several questions. If you could please state your name and media outlet. Do we have a question? Okay, over there, please.
Thank you. My name is Andrej Matišak, Slovakia, Devi, Pravda. Two questions, if I may. One about the operation in Aegean Sea. Are you going to somehow discuss how this operation is going on? And do we have any data about this operation? Because we see the decreasing number of migrants coming. So do you have any data which would say that there is a correlation between less number of migrants coming and with the operation we have? And second question, if I may, about enhanced presence of NATO on the eastern flank. Maybe this is a question also for General Pavel. Visegrad countries might contribute to something which we don't know what it will be at this moment. There are numbers like 150 soldiers from each country of Visegrad 4. Do you know something more about it? Have you been maybe discussing it also with your colleagues, military colleagues? Thank you.
First, I'll address the Aegean. As you know, our assistance there with the EU and their maritime operation has been predominantly in information sharing and assistance in their direction. The reports that I've seen in the time that I've been here tell us that it is having an effect. We're working closer with those forces, including Frontex, and the coordination there is improved. And although I've seen various reports, data on refugees and whether it's reduced or increased, most often it's shown a decrease. But I'm still looking for the accuracy in those. But I would say without a doubt that it's had an impact at this point. In terms of the presence, enhanced presence, I would just say that it was clear today with the Chads that there is coherence among the Chads on the basic framework for enhanced presence and the need for that along the Eastern Front as a part of the larger piece of deterrence. Although I won't go into the details, I think there is good coherence on that, and we'll work that as we move forward into Warsaw and beyond.
And probably just to add on Visegrad 4 countries, there is no specific commitment by these countries, since the scope of the mission is not yet decided. So we have to have in mind that enhanced forward presence is one package of measures, while right after this the summit in Wales, we have introduced a number of assurance measures to the countries to the east based on rotational training presence of smaller units at the company level. So probably V4 countries are part of this arrangement up to now, but it's not about enhanced forward presence.
Next question. Over here, please.
Thank you. My name is Nina Ilina, Vedomosti Russian newspaper. I have two questions to you. First, NATO ground operation in Syria. Under which circumstances, or what should happen so that would start from NATO side? And second questions, Russian jets coming close to Baltic borders, let's say, or for example, Russian-Turkish relations that are quite tense now. Both Turkey and Baltic states are NATO members. So at what point, or what should happen so that Article number 5 would come into force? What would you understand that now you should start acting? Thank you.
Article 5 is defined in NATO treaty as an aggression against one or more countries of the alliance. And of course, to take violation of the airspace by one single aircraft as an aggression, it would be probably exaggeration. So there is a number of these violations. Most of them are caused by technical problems or simply human factor mistakes rather than by intention. So most of these violations are dealt with as within the readiness measures through alpha scramble by aircraft on duty, and it is kind of a polite reminder that the aircraft committing the violation has made a mistake. So it's not the reason for invoking Article 5. And in terms of Syria, I didn't take well the first part of the question.
Are there any plans or proposals now on the table? Any discussions
Okay.
to start with, or what should happen when you say now we should start acting in Syria? So what are the factors?
You are aware that NATO as an alliance is not involved in Syria, while all NATO allies are part of a counter-ISIL coalition. So to a different degree, they are contributing to the overall effort against ISIL through an aircraft up to logistic or even financial support. So it's a contribution in kind, not solely through military forces. And NATO does not plan any land operation in Syria as an alliance.
Over here in the front, please. Yes.
We were already told about...
Could you please state your outlet?
I'm sorry. Marek Gasztycki, Rzeczpospolita Daily from Poland. We were already told about the possibility of plans on stationing additional battalions on eastern flank within the framework of enhanced forward presence. Will these troops be available or will take part in military exercises with local armed forces?
Well, first of all, as you know, we're still in development of the concept for enhanced forward presence, but in terms of the actual contribution of the troops, the size of the force, et cetera. But yes, they would take part in exercises along the front. They would take part in capacity building in the countries that they're stationed in, build interoperability, capability as a part of a forward presence and a posture that we need to set conditions for deterrence. They're one part of that deterrence. There's many others, to include the forces that we have in response, the work that we're going to do here in the future to Warsaw and beyond that will, fill out a deterrence concept here for NATO.
A question over here, gentleman in the blue shirt.
A question for General Pavel. I'm Alexander Petrsky, Gazette RU from Moscow. Despite difficult trouble relationship between NATO and Russia, do you see a possibility of some cooperation, even in the military sphere, is possible in Afghanistan? I'm talking about before we used to have a good cooperation with supplying helicopters to Afghans. Is it possible to continue that on some level? And do you see Russians, your counterparts, are talking about that? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I'm glad you asked. We are open to communication, and it's not just a cliche, as I'm repeatedly accused by some Russian web portals, including Foreign Ministry. But it's true that we would welcome any constructive dialogue. And I have personally offered our Russian counterparts here in Brussels direct communication between myself and General Gerasimov on a number of issues. Unfortunately, these offers were not answered in a positive way. So Wherever there is a serious will to have a meaningful dialogue, we can start even tomorrow because the channels are open and we have expressed the will to communicate many times. And of course, Afghanistan, terrorism in general, Syria and other issues like risk reduction and transparency measures would come to my mind immediately.
Lady in the red, please.
Thank you for doing this. Carla Babb with Voice of America. What insight did General Nicholson give you on Afghanistan and the recommendation for troop levels? And also, would NATO's European allies be prepared to provide more troops if the U.S. were to reduce its levels as the current plan stands? And then finally, what have you identified, have you identified any capabilities such as helping with the drug trade, fight against the drug trade, or helping with pilot training that you have considered indispensable if there is a troop drawdown?
First of all, it was very helpful and important to have General Nicholson present today with the Chads. And what he provided was a personal commander's assessment of what he's seen in the time that he's been there. The threat itself, some of the nuances of that threat, the capability of the Afghan forces today and what areas we need to sustain, and his recommendation for the way ahead. I'll leave that to him to discuss, but I would just say that from my point of view, and having listened to General Nicholson, that I maintain that a conditions approach in Afghanistan is absolutely correct. It's the one that we need to stay on. That the recommendation for force structure to maintain spokes conditionally until such time that they're a self-sustaining force in each of those areas is important, because it's the means to realize our objective of a stable and secure Afghanistan that is not a haven for terrorists any longer. So I think that's what I took away from General Nicholson's report, and I think so important, and the Chads also heard today.
We have time for one last question. Gentleman in blue shirt, red tie. Yes.
There is a general acknowledgement by most of the NATO allies who were willing to share that view, that they are going to keep the same level of participation in Afghanistan because they believe that the conditions were not yet met for us to withdraw. But we'll see more after a fourth generation conference and after a further assessment.
Okay, now back to that last question, please.
Thank you very much. Agaton Koziński, Polska, The Times Daily. As you said, it's hard to treat a violation of NATO border by one plane as an aggression. But Russia is still repeating its, let's call it, mistake. How do you interpret it? How to understand this series of mistakes made by Russian planes? And I will refer to a book just published by General Alexander Richard Shirev, the book called 2017 War with Russia. He said, using model for, I'm quoting article in Guardian, on wargaming future conflict, the program used by NATO, and he suggests there will be a war, NATO-Russia. It will start next year. The first country attacked by Russia will be Latvia. It's the very strong thesis just published by General Shirev.
Well, I would just say that, first of all, our mission here in NATO is a collective defense of Europe and the countries, and our intent is to deter. I don't believe there'll be a conflict as a result of that. I think that Russia they are assertive, and they are pressing their periphery, deliberately so, and that in that regard, one, we need to be consistent and clear in what we expect in terms of the sovereignty of our nations, their airspace, their territory. And then secondly, as we're doing today, the Chads met today. We have consensus on the way ahead. We're studying the strategic environment, and I think we're making good progress on what what things we need to do to change our posture, our responsiveness, our force structure in the future to address a more assertive Russia.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's MCCS press conference. Thank you very much.